Hi and welcome to True Crime, a channel dedicated to the dark underworld of criminal activity carried out by gangsters, mobsters, cartel leaders, and others. In this video, we'll explore the story of how $18 million of Pablo's hidden fortune was discovered and the rumors of a staggering $500 billion that remain elusive. So buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride into the criminal underworld of one of the most infamous figures in modern history. Let's get started. In the frigid winter of 1992, Pablo Escobar, the notorious kingpin of the international drug trade, found himself running for his life with his family in the freezing forests of Colombia. His young daughter was shivering uncontrollably from the cold, and desperate to keep her warm, Pablo did something that would shock most people. He took $2 million from his bag of money and set it ablaze to create a fire for his daughter. For Escobar, money was never an issue, but rather where to keep it. He didn't trust banks and preferred to hide his vast wealth in the most bizarre places imaginable, behind walls, under fields, and in barrels. And even in death, people are still discovering these secret stashes of wealth. Not too long ago, Escobar's nephew stumbled upon $18 million of his uncle's hidden fortune, sparking a renewed fascination with the mystery of just how much money the infamous drug lord had hidden away. Pablo Escobar's life story is nothing short of legendary. From his humble beginnings in Medellin to becoming one of the most notorious drug lords in history, his rise to power was meteoric. But what set him apart was his immense wealth. Forbes named him the 7th richest man in the world during his prime, with a net worth of over $30 billion. So where did all that money go? And how did his nephew stumble upon $18 million hidden behind the walls of his old house? It all started with a small-time crime for Pablo. Born into poverty, he had to resort to petty theft just to get by. But he quickly graduated to the lucrative world of drug trafficking. By the time he was 26, he had already amassed a fortune of at least $3 million. But he wasn't satisfied with just a few million. He wanted more, and so he created the Medellin cartel, a massive drug operation that dominated the global cocaine trade. At its peak, the cartel was making over $145 million a day in cash and had an annual income of $55 billion. Pablo Escobar, the notorious drug lord, was a man of immense wealth, power, and influence. He was so rich that his cartel spent a fortune on rubber bands to wrap his endless influx of cash. However, even with all that money, he couldn't escape the clutches of fate. He met his demise when he was fatally shot in the head by soldiers who discovered his hiding place. But what happened to his fortune after he died? With such an enormous amount of money, it's only natural to wonder where it all went. Escobar had people he trusted to keep track of his cash flow, and those people were his oldest brother Roberto Escobar and his younger sister Alba Marina Escobar. These were the only two people he trusted with his wealth, and there are 3 ways of categorizing Escobar's fortune. So, let's take a closer look at where every one of those billions of dollars went. Pablo Escobar's wealth was legendary, and the way he amassed it was even more so. The Colombian drug lord was so rich that he had liquid assets that included cars, mansions, clothes, and many other physical items that most people could only dream of. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Escobar's second category of wealth was even more mind-boggling. He hid money in underground caves, behind walls, and in the jungle. He was so paranoid that he didn't even trust banks to keep his money, which was the third and final category of his wealth. When Escobar was killed, his empire crumbled, and his family was left with nothing. Rival cartels took over most of his wealth, leaving the family with only a fraction of what they once had. They spent most of their remaining money on security measures. At one point, they even had to buy out an entire floor of a hotel just to make sure no one could sneak up on them. Escobar's legacy was one of power, wealth, and fear, but in the end, it was all for nothing. Pablo Escobar's hidden fortune remained a mystery for years, with everyone from the government to the common folk searching for it. The second category of his wealth, containing billions of dollars, was scattered throughout Colombia in secret locations, known only to the drug lord himself. Pablo had a knack for killing his henchmen after they hid his money, making him the sole person aware of its location. He would instruct them to bury or stash his money in underground bunkers or caves, and once they reported back to him, he would have them killed. This tactic ensured that nobody else knew where his fortune was hidden, leaving everyone guessing and searching for clues. The absence of a treasure map, coupled with the destruction of the Medellin cartel, ensured that the search for Escobar's wealth became increasingly fruitless. Even after all these years, there might still be undiscovered caches of money buried somewhere in Colombia waiting to be found by the adventurous. Pablo Escobar's hidden fortune has been a topic of fascination for years, with many people on the hunt for the elusive billions he buried and stashed away. Escobar's penchant for secrecy and distrust made it impossible for anyone to locate his hidden fortune, not even his trusted siblings. He kept the locations of his buried treasure in his head, revealing them only on a need-to-know basis. Despite this, some lucky few have stumbled upon some of his hidden money. From $5.3 million found in 3 plastic cans to $600 million buried in hundreds of barrels, these discoveries have sparked the imaginations of treasure hunters around the world. Even Escobar's nephew, Nicolas, was able to find around $18 million hidden behind the walls of his uncle's house. But these discoveries are few and far between, and the bulk of Escobar's fortune remains missing, leaving many wondering if it will ever be found. The mystery surrounding the hidden fortune of Pablo Escobar continues to unravel with each passing year. The latest twist in the tale involves Roberto Sandoya, a man who claims to be the drug lord's secret son. Some reports suggest that Roberto had been searching for his father's billions for years and may have had a hand in some of the recent discoveries. But whether or not he is the real deal, one thing is for sure: the Escobar fortune has a life of its own. From buried plastic cans filled with cash to gold bars and barrels of money, each discovery brings with it a new chapter in the story of one of the world's most notorious drug lords. And while the Escobar family may never see a penny of their patriarch's wealth, the lure of hidden treasure will always remain, drawing in treasure hunters and adventurers from all corners of the globe. Who knows what other secrets lie buried in the jungles and mountains of Colombia, waiting to be unearthed by those daring enough to seek them out. The legend of Pablo Escobar lives on, and so does his legacy of greed, violence, and hidden riches. Little Roberto's life was shaped by the bloody reign of Pablo Escobar, the man who inadvertently caused his family's demise. As a child, Roberto's mother was killed in a shootout, but he was miraculously rescued and taken in by an MI6 agent stationed in Colombia. When his existence was discovered by rival cartels, he quickly whisked away to the UK, where he grew up oblivious to his true identity. It was only in his 20s that he learned about his biological father, the infamous drug lord Pablo Escobar. On the deathbed of his adopted father, Roberto was given a coded note that revealed the secrets to locating Escobar's hidden millions. Since then, he has dedicated his life to unearthing his father's wealth, driven by a need to reclaim the lost inheritance that his father never left him. It is said that Roberto's codes led to the discovery of a portion of the Escobar fortune hidden in a former mansion in Florida, bringing him one step closer to fulfilling his lifelong mission. As the dusty old safe creaked open, the eyes of the beholder widened in disbelief. Was there anything in the safe? The answer was an emphatic yes. But what was inside was worth far more than anyone could have ever imagined. It was whispered in hushed tones that there were still billions of dollars hidden on the Escobar-owned properties. But finding them comes with certain risks, the kind of risks that made one's blood run cold. If you were the one who found it, would you tell anyone? It was a question that weighed heavily on the mind, because the same people who found the safe in Escobar's former mansion in Florida reported that not long after the announcement, someone stole property from the site. And even Nicolas, who seemed to be the only one who had the best luck in finding the Escobar fortune, had suffered an attack many years before. He was abducted and tortured for several hours, along with 2 workers who were captured with him. The horror they endured was unimaginable, with a chainsaw being wielded as a weapon. It was a stark reminder that the Escobar fortune was not just waiting to be discovered. There were dangerous people out there who were interested in finding it too. People would stop at nothing to eliminate the competition. But for all the treasure seekers out there, the lure of wealth was too great to resist. If you happen to live in Colombia, you might want to check your walls. And if you had a farm, you might want to dig it up. Because you never know, you might just find money in barrels or plastic bags behind your walls. In the end, the decision to uncover Escobar's fortune was a risky one. But for those who dared to try, the reward was worth it. They just had to be prepared to face the consequences. As the video came to an end, the beholder of the safe was left with a sense of both excitement and fear. The possibilities were endless, but the dangers were just as real. It was a gamble they would have to decide if they were willing to take. Thank you for watching another amazing video from our true crime team. Like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to our next real-life true crime video.